Hello, everyone. Thanks again for tuning into the Limitless Learning Podcast, where we talk about all things the future of learning. And today we have Nejat Abdurahman, who's the founder of N-BAC and the author of a book called The Art of Managing Up. And she's here to explore some really exciting offerings that she's created that are related to people really taking charge of their own career and taking charge of their own, managing their own career life. How are you doing, Nejat?
Doing really well, thank you. And thanks for
Excellent.
having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited for you to join us. So I'd love to hear just to start out, what inspired you to start NBAC and what was the main problem you wanted to solve?
Good question. Thank you. So MBAC was birthed really because I noticed across different industries a challenge that was unique, which is like leadership related. Successful people that have talent would move to management and something isn't working, right? They either don't do well, they do extremely well as an individual contributor, but not necessarily as a leader. They
Mm,
would perform really well as a leader, just manager of teams, but then they move to becoming a manager of a manager, but then that doesn't work. So the skills that they had yesterday is not, what got them here is not necessarily going to help them succeed at the current level. And that was across industries, right? So founded AIM-BAC with this core reason of just providing leadership development at the right level, the right time, for the right role. And
mm.
so providing that leadership development for different organizations, helping them equip their leaders with the right skills for the right level at the right time. So we started AIM-BAC. It's going to be 5 years next month.
Excellent. That's really great. So it sounds like we offer something to people from all levels of their career to just understand better how to be leaders and get more practice in doing that effectively when they might not necessarily get that in their own. Yeah.
Absolutely. So being the right leader for the organization that they work with, we have different programs for different levels of leadership. But the overall thing is how do they lead up and down and across? So 360 level of leadership. And at the same time, as they transition, how can they create alignment within the organization and really transform how they lead and how they lead the organization that they work with?
Great. And so you have this course and this book called The Art of Managing Up. Could you just briefly define what managing up is for our audience?
Yeah, so managing up is basically the ability to create value for one's boss and the organization and oneself. And this is the really missing ingredient from leadership is we think that being a great leader to our team is enough, but it's not.
Mm,
We can be an amazing leader to our subordinates, but studies show
mm,
that those who manage up and across actually are 50% more um, they would deliver business results 50% more, and they can succeed at their career twice as those who are just focusing on managing subordinates. So the concept of managing up is being in alignment and creating influence with the higher ups, but leading across so that you can not only succeed in your own role, help your organization by aligning with what the organization is aiming or the goals of the organization. So you're
mm.
leading up so that you help yourself, but you also help the organization get more results. So it's really about aligning with the organization and aligning with your leaders.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'm sure that, like you said, that has that impact. That's 360, all directions, right? Like I'm sure the people who are working above, they appreciate that kind of even just scope of consideration, right? And then the
Absolutely.
people who you're managing, it sounds like that creates a lot more just open flow of information or just connection between the people that are working on different levels. It's wonderful.
Absolutely. And that benefits not only the leaders, but also organizations, because when individuals are able to influence up and communicate, when there's that upward communication and alignment, and almost in the title of the book is Managing Up, but step-by-step guide to help you become the CEO of your career. When you have each individual so empowered within the organization, trying to influence up and see how they can align the work that they do with the organization's goal and with the manager's goal, the organization can completely transform and get as many results because, hey, you know what? Everyone is being proactive. There's that line of communication that's open going from
Mm.
bottom to up, also up to down. So it really creates that flow.
That's such a powerful message and focus that you're providing in it, and just imagining how different the working world could look if they have more access to this kind of training and practice. Would really benefit a lot of different organizations. So that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So probably there's a lot of change happening in the near future when it comes to the way we go about leadership training and leadership development of all different kinds, especially with technological implementation. So just speaking broadly now, what do you think are some big opportunities for leaders that do training like you and organizations that train people in leadership?
Yeah, and I agree with you. There's a lot of change happening right now with AI. And honestly, there's the saying, right? Change is the only constant in life and also in
Yeah.
business. And the question is not really should I accept the change or not? The question is how do we remain relevant in this age of change and how do we, make the most of it? And so the same thing in leadership development. The opportunities that I see when it comes to like having AI and how the world is changing. If I could put it in just two words, is scale and personalization. And what
Mm.
I mean by that is right now you can think of almost like the result that we can get is now our talent, resources that we have, and every skill that we have to the power of AI. So AI can really amplify how much we can accomplish. It can amplify our impact, the impact that we can create. We
Mm.
can now use AI as a power to really help us scale. At the same
Beautiful.
time, AI can help us with personalization, right?
Yeah.
And so if we think of just organization-wide, you can scale, even if we take up just like leadership development and how leaders are being trained,
Mm.
AI cannot provide you 24/7 access to really personalized learning, but also it can scale that learning because it can provide 24/7 opportunity for you to practice.
Yeah.
AI role play, AI code, whereas in the past we would be limited to a 2-hour class where I have all of my team and then we do role play with each other. Now you can do role play with an AI at your own time, anytime in the day. So it's really helping us scale at a higher level, and also it can help with personalization. Now
Yeah.
that is amazing. And then there's the challenge that we see with AI, right? And I'm going to
Hmm.
just dip into two broad kind of challenges that I'm seeing. So one is overall with AI that we see. And yes, AI is great, but hallucinations exist. Trust is a big factor, privacy. And so anything AI generates, we're not yet at a stage where we can trust it, right? It has to be
Yeah.
verified by a human being because there's hallucinations. It makes simple mistakes
Yeah.
sometimes. The other big thing is bias, right? So AI, whatever organizations are applying, any of their platforms, the AI that we're implementing is really heavily relies on the data that it's being trained on. The term garbage in, garbage out. So unless we're training AI on data that is not biased, that's clean, then the results we're going to get are absolutely going to be the same. So if we really want, we really have to focus on bias, right?
Yes.
The other thing, privacy. We're getting a lot of data now, individualized, personalized information. And so how are we handling privacy is another thing. And so, yes, we're applying AI, but there's few factors that leaders have to pay attention to. And then the other challenge that I'm seeing personally at N-BAC, and this is specifically with leaders who are trying to implement AI in their organization right now, is how do we implement AI, right? How do we get results? You probably might have heard of the recent data that came out, study by MIT, that reported 95% of AI pilots programs don't deliver business results.
Right.
And that is a challenge, and that's the challenge that leaders are facing. Question one is how do we ensure that we're applying AI in the right way, that it gets us business results? But at the same time, the issue is not really the AI, it's really the human side of AI, creating alignment. So they're really having this challenge, like, how do we implement AI so we get the results that we want? And I want to bring it back to alignment, because that's what we do at N-BAC, is create that alignment, not only
Yeah.
within the managers and their leaders and everyone else, but also alignment of the projects with the organization's goals, right? It's not just we are chasing shiny tools, right? Or shiny trends that are coming
Hmm.
in AI, but it's going to be implemented. Are the leaders implementing it in such a way where derives the result that they want?
Really.
And when we're implementing AI, we cannot be successful if we neglect the human side of AI implementation. And that's why, like at AI, at N-BAC right now, we're 100% focusing on leadership in the age of AI. How do
Right.
you ensure that whatever implementation that you have, you're also considering what people are going through, the fear that people are going to have, the resistance that you might get. And so we're heavily seeing that challenge that leaders are having. And we even have like trainings on that. We're creating alignment, emotional intelligence, and also a new change management plan, because there's that cycle of now this is a new change,
Hmm.
not only, but how is the entire organization seeing this? How are your employees, seeing all of this?
Yeah.
I guess with all of its opportunities and challenges that we see, what leaders really need to look at is, if we're going to have an impact, if we're going to implement AI, we really have to focus not about replacement, but
Yeah.
augmenting human beings. And
Yeah.
it's not about job displacements, but we're going to have to see how can we support our employees so that their impact is compounded, not replaced, right? We don't want to replace employees. How do we apply it in such a way where we get this acceptance? And that is going to require a proper change management of just ensuring that the employees are aligned with your goals so that
Yeah.
you lead with compassion and purpose, but also you're doing it in the right way.
Thank you. That was such a thorough answer. It covered so much. I'm excited to dive into a few pieces of that. And maybe if you were just to summarize what you think as a leader who's trying to implement AI, what do you think is one of the most important ways they can come into that alignment?
So alignment, when we see alignment, I would like to divide that into two. One is alignment with the organization goals. You don't just
Yeah.
apply any AI tool, but is it really aligned with the organization's goals? Then is it done appropriately in such a way, pilot small and then scale? The second one is alignment on the people side of leadership. And that's what we really focus on at N-BAC
Yeah.
is how do you ensure that you're aligning your team? You cannot, and by you, I mean any leader who's implementing AI, we should absolutely not ignore the emotions that are going to be, that people are at this point. People have hundreds of questions in their mind, right? As we're thinking of AI, is my job going to be replaced? What is
Yeah.
going on? We can't really underestimate that people are afraid of change. There's only few people that would adapt and run away and jump to a change. So having that proper alignment would require, number one, really stating the purpose and ensuring what the end goal is and making sure that your people are on board. Number two, not just ignoring the human side and just applying AI, but reskilling employees on AI and the skills that they need. And actually, that does two purposes. One is when you train your employees on AI, that actually comforts them in a sense that you're not being replaced. We're now using
Yeah.
different tools, and we want you to know this new tool so we can all, bring about that change. So really, these are the skills that AI cannot give us, is reading the room, reading the
Yes.
organization. What are people
Absolutely.
feel? And how can I bring them in alignment? And how can I influence them? And how can I really share my purpose and what I'm doing so that everyone does this so that the projects are successful?
Beautiful. Again, I appreciate the depth you go into with your answers. It's very cool to see the level of consideration and experience you've had in this. So maybe if we can go back to some of the aspects of your first answer. You mentioned you were using simulations. You're starting to use that in your training, a little bit of simulated environments that people can use to practice skills. When it does come to these soft skills, these emotional intelligence, what do you think is the appropriate blend of a use of technology versus the human interaction? Where do you think that sweet spot might be as we see these things take off?
Yeah, so AI can help a lot in helping us with the soft skills as well, right? And so the way I'm seeing it is think of it like AI is like the simulation versus space, right? And then the human is the instructor.
Mm.
And so, for example, the way it's blended is there's the training that is provided. There's an AI role play that's really going to help, right? So you can take the course, you can practice as much with the AI coach, but at the end of the day, there's the human aspect of maybe the manager having the conversation with the human being, just reflective exercise. For example, at N-BAC, we have assessments that we do for individuals to see their leadership assessment. There's 360 assessments, different kind emotional intelligence assessments. Once that person does the assessment, then there's an AI coach that the person can use. And that AI coach is basically any question that they have or specific training can tailor that question specifically to the person's weaknesses and
Mm.
strength because it's using that personalized assessment from that individual. And so an AI coach can help. Now, a person can use the training, they have the assessment, they have the AI coach, and they can now sit with a person coach and do that reflective exercise, right?
Yeah.
An AI can evaluate and get the evaluation reports of an employee. They can have, based on that assessment, they can provide those trainings. At the end of the day, the human manager has to have the in-person communication with the person. And so things that AI can do for us, which is the 24 axis of practice, a playground, a simulation that people can use at any time they want with as frequently and as most as they want to practice. And then the human aspect would be that short, kind of like based on what you see, just having that conversation with the human being. And again, AI can help you learn about emotional intelligence, the ability to actually see what's going on in the organization. And that needs a practical skill that you then have a conversation with a human being to see.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. So there's these ways where we can spend these more personalized time, right? Practicing these skills. And then what's really necessary is to have someone overlooking all this, right? A human being
Yeah.
who can pick up the patterns, see what's going on, and then deliver, I mean, personalized feedback, but with that sort of intuitive approach to really seeing what's going on with the human being. And
So
yeah, really driving their
yeah.
success in that way.
And then I say conversation, like a performance last minute conversation. You don't want it to be done by an AI, right?
Of course.
Or
Yeah.
conflict DEI or even safety. So these are things that need to be done by a human being. But absolutely, yeah, AI can help us with that 24/7 access to grow.
Yeah. Beautifully said. Great. And so we mentioned personalized and responsive learning, and it seems like that's getting a lot of attention lately because that's increasing the way that people seem to retain knowledge. And we're also seeing that people, when we break down learning into smaller pieces, like this micro learning format, we also see a big boost in how engaged people are able to be. So I'm wondering, between those two technologies and trends in education, are you implementing or do you plan to implement those both in different ways in the near future?
Absolutely. And we implement. So at M-BAC, we have this framework where we use assessments for awareness because it
Hmm.
has to be personalized. You know where you are with assessments.
Mm.
And then we use training for skill to actually acquire the skill that you need for competency. So we call it assessment for awareness, training for competency, and then coaching for transformation.
Yeah.
In each of these ones, so for example, for the assessments, we have the AI coach. We do the assessment, and then you have an AI coach personally that you can interact with, but you're getting more of the personalized feedback with that specific one. When it comes to training, is where the micro learning comes in. Yeah,
Yeah.
long content, very short. very interactive content is that micro learning. It's just simple, it's tailored to your specific need. And that is where you'll retain that information. And what the other thing about retention is people actually retain when they practice. When you're just told to do, you don't really learn as much. But when you actually practice it, that's when you learn. And that's where the AI role plays come in. In the past, I used to do role plays in all of my trainings. We would literally have people pair up. We do role plays, we give them feedback. Right now,
Mhm.
we don't have to do it with another human being. You can role play with AI. And this is what I have on my course, The Art of Managing Up. We'll learn about a specific topic. Let's say it's the communication, high impact communication, and you want to learn or you want to improve your communication to make it high impact communication so that you can influence decision making. Now, the concepts are great. Are you actually applying these concepts?
Yeah.
Well, let's go practice. So we give you an example, the AI role play, you can practice and it will give you feedback. Or let's say one of the topics in the course is how do you create alignment with your boss?
Yeah.
So we have an AI role play again in that course where you're having a conversation with that manager. And as you're communicating, you get real-time feedback. It tells you, okay, these are things that you did well and these are things you could do better. And so it's not only just learning or knowing what to do, but you're actually practicing it so that you learn and retain it. So I love the use of role plays. I used to use that with individual people role playing, and now we use AI. It's absolutely amazing because you're actually learning how you react in that instant moment. If your manager asks you something, how do you respond? And so are you really applying what you learned? And so that's where, the micro learning, it's just simple, bite size, but not only that, it's personalized.
Mm.
Then we do that. And then the same thing for the coaching. There's an AI coach that you can use, but real transformation is going to include a person coach where you're just reflecting back on what you're learning from the AI, but then the person is going to help you to get to that transformation. So yeah, it's definitely the studies show micro learning increases retention, but we also learn when we practice something, when we do it. And that's what this technology of AI role play is currently helping with that.
Yeah. It's so cool to see how you guys are putting both of those really powerful tools into practice, and it sounds like it's working really well. Well, just one more thought on that. I'm curious in your experience if there are certain of these leadership skills that you find most appropriate for this format and or ones that you think require a lot more human interaction, for example.
Trainings that would require human interaction. I think, honestly, yeah, there is a human interaction needed in all of these trainings because at the end of the day, we are human beings. We are wired to want that connection.
Yeah.
It's almost like, we like virtual events for convenience, but there's something beautiful about actually coming with another human being and being in an event in person. The same thing right now. We learn everything using an AI. I can record, or maybe it could be AI even generated content or AI recorded content about emotional intelligence. And you can learn from AI. You can have the AI coach and you can practice. You can do role play. That's amazing. But when it's done with a human being, it's different. It has that meaning. So nothing is ever going to replace people's need to actually have a human being in front of them to have a
Exactly.
conversation. It might not necessarily be 100% necessary, but it's needed. People need that. So yeah, we can learn most of the skills within AI. And I'm thinking like the training, someone has to obviously create the content that's specifically relevant. And even if it's a live class is much different than a recorded class. But even then, there's things that you get from that human interaction
Of
that
course.
you won't get from AI.
Yeah. Brilliant. So looking forward then, with all of that in mind, what do you think are going to be the distinguishing practices that allow leadership training platforms to stand out and really be in touch with that need and really have that appropriate balance of emotional intelligence and also maximizing these tools that can save a lot of time and create high quality training?
I guess the platforms that provide personalization, again, I
Yeah.
think most of them are going to going to do that, but AI first personalization that start with validated assessments and then live performance signals to then tailor that training specifically to that organization. There's going to be a lot of help in kind of like flow of work nudges, like making sure that people are actually, gamification was one thing that is used in learning to really ensure that people are coming back, right? And taking classes they want. So you can have a lot of courses. If people are not taking them, then this is something that organizations struggle with. But if with that proper type of nudge, AI nudge, you can ensure that leaders are now taking the classes that they need to take, and then ensuring that practice is now shifts to performance in a sense that like tie the skills that are being learned to actually key performance indicators within the organization, retention, maybe cycle time. It could be maybe a net promoter score if the organization uses that. So whatever training they use, tying that to the KPI. But at the end of the day, I think organizations that implement AI, the ones that are going to win, in my opinion, is the ones who are able to build and create that trust with users. And that includes, is there a proper privacy statements and how are people aware of when AI is used and when it's a human being and what data they're collecting and who it's shared with and why it's shared with. So those who are able to create trust, take the privacy really, really seriously and are able to communicate that. And last but not least, the ones who are created to provide accessibility, right? So if they
Yeah.
have clear governance, they're checking the biases, and then they're doing like inclusive design in the AI platform, I think that will really help whoever the platform is to actually be the one people would choose, because trust is everything. If you don't have that, it really won't work, right? And so
Mhm.
I guess the kind of like, yeah, so ensuring that AI is like augmenting people's tools, is helping them at the right time, but ensuring that whatever data is collected in transparency around safety
Yeah,
is going to be critical.
that's great. I appreciate that answer because it's really, I mean, it sounds like a brilliant application of what you teach too, because having that ability for everyone involved to know not only the mission of the company, but how this technology is being used and what the goal of it is. And, that they're consenting to the limits of how the information is used and collected and how it's being applied. And also, it
Yeah.
sounds like, yeah, that's incredibly important. And as you mentioned before, too, for them to know, for the employees to feel involved, not like they're going to be replaced easily, but like there's this, connection of this is what we're using this for, versus just kind of having that curiosity of what role they play in the company in conjunction with that. So, and I loved what you said also earlier too about we have these tools and they are training specific skills, but now we finally have a way to measure and practice how they're being implemented. I feel like that's a major gap that trainings have had for a long time is the employees can go through a lot of different trainings, but we don't have as much visibility on how they're being applied. And now there's a more clear way to see whether it's being practiced, implemented. And that's just, yeah, super
Yeah.
valuable.
Absolutely. When organizations are able to, and again, it probably requires then connecting, the performance reviews, the personalized reports, and then giving a personalized training to that person, and then seeing performance afterwards really can lead to that results.
Yeah, brilliant. So if we were to look ahead in the future and for your company in particular, what would it look like for you guys to have accomplished in the next year what you're aiming to grow into and expand into?
So, like I mentioned, I think the mission of N-BAC is to really provide or to help organizations or equip their leaders with the
Yeah.
right skills at the right level and at the right time. So right now, as I think about the next year, and our year is officially going to start in October because that will be 5 years. That right
Congrats.
type of leadership training at this time I'm seeing a lot of AI. So leading in the age of AI is becoming one of our topics that we're really focusing on. And by that, what I mean is partnering with leaders and organizations who are in the process of implementing AI. What does leading in the age of AI look like, and what kind of skills can we provide these leaders? So even from starting from emotional intelligence to providing these leaders the change management trainings that they would need to apply leadership AI programs within their organizations and create that alignment to be able to succeed in their attempt is something that we're working on. And so as always, um, my goal at the end of year is, if we're partnering with as many organizations, obviously, to provide solutions in terms of leadership trainings. That's one thing that we're absolutely focused on. As a company, training, we're already implementing AI. So, like I mentioned, when we do assessments, we provide individuals and also companies the AI coach to be able to give that person specific feedback, and basically they can ask any question and they can get response based on their assessments. So for example, if one person takes assessment on their communication tendencies with us and we give them that AI coach, that person can say, I'm struggling with this thing. What strength of mine can I use to help me with this new habit? It would say, hey, Dominic, based on your assessment, you tend to be a people person. And so
Mm-hmm.
if you could have your friends or someone else hold you accountable, maybe you can tell them what you've done, would actually do well. So this is a unique thing that it can give you
Yeah.
in terms of helping you bring about the change that you want individually. The same thing, we're applying AI in terms of the trainings that we provide for role plays. But personally, I'm also using AI to help with the organization. So, like some of the things that we do at N-BAC, we're applying it at the company. We're applying AI in the programs that we have, but we're also helping AIs who are leaders or applying AI in their organization so that they can get the results that they want, and really help them in that space to create alignment and how to deal with the human and people aspect of AI.
Brilliant. Sounds like you guys are really on top of the trend there and really just making sure that you're maximizing how best to use the technology, but also making sure you spread the knowledge and wisdom you have to as many people as you can based on how you've seen it go successfully. It's very cool.
That's our goal, and I'm glad to hear that it's sounding like that, because our mission here is to help leaders. So yeah, anything we can do in that aspect, we do it.
Yeah. So if there, as you go to grow and scale and bring this message to as many people as possible, if you could imagine there was a like a magic tool you could use to solve any of the challenges you've been coming up against, or maybe some bottleneck you've been experiencing with that growth, what would that look like for you guys in particular?
I mean, like I mentioned, our goal is to help as many organizations as possible. So if I could
Right.
have an AI coach that would actually help me with that, in terms of, one that would use maybe all of the resources that we have to then connect us with organizations that are in need of that kind of service. So that's something that I think is, I don't know if it's out there, but yeah, no, that would be
Mhm.
something that would really cool to have. And again, I'm thinking in the future, who knows, one person might create it. But yeah, an AI tool that can use the resources we have and kind of just connect us with more and more leaders so that we create more impact. That would be something that we would love to use.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if there's any closing thoughts you'd like to give us, and maybe just more information about where our listeners can find your material, how they can support you guys more.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. So my message is, AI is the new change that's here, and we can, instead of being afraid of it, we can try to think about how do we make the most from it, but also we're applying it the right way, ethically, in the correct way, because the change is here, and our role is how do we ensure that it's applied correctly for the right goal. So really be aware of that. For anyone who wants to reach out to us, my email address is najat@n-bac.com. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, on our website as well.
And we'll leave all of those descriptions in our show notes when we post the show. And Nejat, I really appreciate all of your insight. You were so well spoken on so many different really important topics that a lot of business owners and leaders are facing right now. And I think your insight and experience is so valuable to them. So thank you again so much for your time. And this was a really great conversation.
Thank you so much. Really enjoyed the conversation as well.